Hey everyone, welcome back to John's Watch. Today I'm going to be talking about a new game called MindsEye. This game was released on most major platforms on June 10th, 2025. Its traded price is $77.99 Canadian, there's that regional pricing, or regional equivalent, and is developed by Build a Rocket Boy and published by IO Interactive Partners. Build a Rocket Boy is a development studio that was put together by Leslie Benzies, who was an ex-GTA developer, and that is kind of the claim to fame for both the studio and this game. You know, it's got one of those taglines like, from a guy who worked on a game you all know. And as we all know, those games always do so well. So if you're not familiar with MindsEye, it's one of the more prominent AAA video game flops of 2025. I knew it had a bad reputation before I started it. I'd actually seen a lot of posts about, you know, poor performance, just it being a poor game in general, very, very buggy. And I think people can sympathize with this. There's always sort of like a morbid curiosity with bad games, like how bad can they be? You know, that there is some enjoyment to be found from watching really, really horrible, bad movies, you know, that they're just fun to laugh at and watch. So going into MindsEye, I knew it wasn't going to be great, but I was hoping it was going to be entertaining. And for some reason, I played through the whole thing. My playtime is literally just below 10 hours. And in hindsight, I honestly should have stopped playing after 2 hours. This is not a very good game. Right now on Steam, it's currently sitting at mostly negative reviews, so that's only 38% are positive. And pretty much right along those lines, I did see that IGN gave it a 4 out of 10. And, you know, I don't rate games, but if I was forced to give this game a rating, yeah, like 3 or 4 out of 10 is 3 to 5, I don't know, 3 to 5 out of 10 is probably pretty good for this game. So in this game, you play as a character called Jacob Diaz. He's a former special ops soldier who suffers from memory loss caused by a mysterious neural implant called the titular MindsEye. Set in the futuristic desert city of Redrock, Jacob takes a security job at the powerful Silva Corporation to uncover the truth about the implant and his past. As he navigates a world controlled by corrupt tech billionaires and authoritarian politicians, Jacob's investigation reveals a conspiracy involving AI, corporate greed, and government surveillance. The deeper he digs, the more he realizes his memories and the implant itself hold the key to a conflict that could reshape society. So now that you're kind of caught up to speed on what this game is, or what it's about, I guess, it is, you know, it's a AAA, at least price-wise and looks-wise, a single-player shooter game. Honestly, one of the closest comparisons I can think of for this game, apart from GTA and Cyberpunk, it's obviously got elements of that. But one of the closest comparisons I could come up with was Mafia 2, which will make more sense as we get into the gameplay. But yeah, maybe if you think of it as like a futuristic mixture of a lot of GTA, a bit of Cyberpunk, and a decent amount of Mafia, a little bit of LA Noire. So now that you're a little bit more up to speed on what the game's about, I thought I would very quickly go through what I liked about the game, some of the positives about the game, because it does genuinely have some positives. I'll start off by saying, obviously, objectively, the graphics are fantastic. The graphics look absolutely gorgeous. Even like the opening cutscene, I was pretty blown away as Jacob meets his friend Seb, and they're walking around Redrock City and onwards towards the place they're both working, Silva Corporation. The cutscenes look absolutely beautiful. Even when you're out in the game, looks wonderful, absolutely. I actually thought the story was pretty decent. I was rolling my eyes for the first like half an hour or something, and then as it went on, I was kind of like, oh, okay, yes, kind of enjoying the story, actually. And kind of in tandem with that, all the voice acting is really, really excellent. In fact, the voice actor for the main character is Alex Hernandez, who was actually the voice actor for Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3. So there are actually some names in the voice cast for this game, and they're really, really good. Something else I liked about the game is the handling of cars and just driving overall. Really, really solid, honestly. Cars feel really good to drive. I was able to handbrake drift around turns like flawlessly. Normally that takes that's usually a real learning curve in a game, in a driving game. But it always just felt good in this game. And again, I was kind of surprised that there were actually some really good parts of it. But unfortunately, I think that is where all my positive points about this game end. The rest is pretty negative. I guess as a counterpoint to how good the game looks, it runs appallingly. I have such a strong computer. I've got an RTX 5090 in there, and my performance was all over the place. If I was driving outside of the city, I would be seeing, around 180 FPS. Ran pretty well out there. Once I got into the heart of the city, which I'm pretty sure is inspired by Las Vegas. I'm a Canadian, so I don't know for sure. But like the road layout was reminiscent to me of when I visit my parents in Arizona, and there was even a big sphere, which is in Las Vegas right now, and some of the hotels looked like Las Vegas hotels to me, so pretty sure it's based on Las Vegas. But yeah, driving in like the heart of downtown of Redrock City, yeah, my performance would just plummet down to like 80s, I guess. And this was with DLSS on and frame gen on and a 5090 in my computer, and yeah, I was appalled at the performance. It's obviously there's going to be some performance sacrifice with graphics that look this nice, but I've got such a strong computer, I should not be seeing performance that low. The lowest I saw, I think, was like right at the end of the game, and I was doing this big high-octane car chase sequence. I was in the back of a Jeep on a mounted turret, explosions everywhere and stuff, and like I could feel it kind of chugging along. I did glance up at my Steam FPS overlay, and I definitely saw it was legitimately in the 50s at one point, and I was like, come on, really? There's also a weird thing, you're given a sniper rifle at some point in the game, and whenever you look through the scope of it, so like it's a sniper rifle, you hold down right click to look through the scope. Whenever it transitioned from third person view into the scope view and back again to third person, the frames would just like plummet. For some reason it would legitimately drop to like 40 FPS as it's doing that transition. No idea why, that one's definitely a bug, but yeah, just added to all the bad performance I saw. The actual layout of the game is very, very poor. These kind of comments are everywhere, but it really is. I was going to say you start a mission, but you pretty much never finish a mission. You're always just going from next objective to next objective. It's not like GTA, where like you drive to the start of a mission and it's very clear what mission you're starting, and when it ends, you're kind of dumped back into the open world. In this game, you're just constantly given objectives, and you can kind of tell like where the gaps are between missions, but every objective is you get into a car, and it's always a specific car. You're not allowed to drive any car apart from the one you're given for the mission, even though there's other drivers everywhere in the world. You're not allowed to grab their car from them or anything like that. But you hop in your car, you drive from point A to point B, you shoot some people, you hop back into the car, drive back to point A, and that mission's done. And then it just instantly gives you, it'll give you a cutscene, and it instantly gives you another objective. And I think outside of maybe like 2 other like driving type missions, they were all exactly the same, pretty much. That there was so much. You just drive to do some combat and then drive away again, you get a cutscene. So many missions follow that exact structure. Speaking of combat, it's super limited. You unlock several different ranged weapons, a bunch of different types of guns, shotgun, light machine gun, submachine gun, assault rifle, pretty standard stuff. But there is no melee combat at all. Like, you can't, bash enemies with the barrel of or the butt of your gun or anything if they get too close. There's no stealth kills or anything. Like, you can press control to stealth a little bit. I literally never used it, but you literally can't stealth kill enemies. You can't sneak up behind them and snap their neck or anything. Just not in the game. Your character doesn't have grenades or molotovs or throwables or anything like that. Much later in the game, you have like this little drone companion kind of thing who like can float around you, and very near the end of the game, that drone gets sort of grenades, which are kind of good, but in order to use the drone's abilities, it has to use its energy, and once you exhaust its energy, it slowly recovers it. And so when you're using the drone, you can throw 2 grenades, and then you're waiting probably like 30 seconds for the energy to fill back up. And honestly, this little drone sucked. I think I killed myself with my own grenades so many times. It was very frustrating. What makes something like that even more frustrating is that the checkpoints in the game are also atrocious. I swear some missions just did not have checkpoints, and some of them would be really long. And yeah, sometimes you can just accidentally kill yourself because your drone decides to drop the grenade on you instead of the numerous enemies in front of you. Unfortunately, dying isn't the only way you can fail missions. Sometimes you can fail missions just from accidentally walking up the wrong set of stairs. Like, the game will never tell you, like, oh, you'll fail this mission if you get too far away from this person or something. But yeah, sometimes, I would like go into a mission and I'd be like, oh, okay, I've got 2 paths ahead of me. Not quite sure which one I need to go down. I'll just start by going up these stairs. Like, walk up the stairs, and I'd like reach the top of the stairs, and I'd be like, mission failed, you strayed too far from the objective. And I was like, really? Like, I could still see what I was supposed to be doing. And yeah, this happened multiple times. There's one super annoying car chase level where if you get like bumped in the wrong way by another car on the road, you'll just never be able to catch up to the person you're chasing, and they'll just kind of slowly get further and further away from you because they kind of cheat because they're an AI driver. And yeah, then you fail that, and honestly, like, I'm sure that racing sequence or racing mission was honestly about like 6 minutes at least. So yeah, losing like 5 minutes of progress and having to do this really annoying car chase was very annoying. I occasionally failed missions because I think my map marker like took me to the wrong place or something. I can't quite remember what the context was now, but I remember I followed my map marker, like got somewhere and was like, okay, what do I do here? And then it just like failed me, and I was like, okay, cool. So I like reset. And when I loaded back in, I was in like a completely different place, and like there were a bunch of enemies in front of me. I was like, okay, I haven't seen this. So yeah, bugs, there are a lot of bugs. There are some really entertaining bugs that I've seen videos of, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to cover this game, because those kinds of bugs are really funny as a player to see. And I didn't get like anything like that. I didn't get any being launched into the sky or anything. I just had a couple of dumb bugs like the wrong checkpoint loaded or something like that. The AI is dumb as rocks in this game. I regularly saw enemies who were supposed to be shooting at me just like staring at a wall. Enemies would routinely just stroll out in front of your line of sight when they're supposed to be trying to kill you. Yeah, the AI is so dumb. I wanted to go back to the missions, the mission structure, for a moment. I'm thinking that this game's kind of changed scope over time. I don't want to go into the whole history of it because there's a lot to it. But I do think that a lot of content was scrapped from this game or cut, or maybe a bunch of cut content was all kind of lumped together to try and throw together this game and recoup on quite a bit of money. But this is super clear in, again, the mission structure. And several times I noticed that, I would, let's say it was like pitch black outside, it was nighttime, I would go into a building, and in the game, like, a minute would pass or something. Like, I would go into a building and, like, talk to someone, and I'd have to, like, go and do something else in the same mission. But even though, like, about a minute had passed, I would go outside and it would suddenly be, like, middle of the afternoon. And this happened multiple times, and this makes me very, very confident that, yeah, something was cut in there or something, or, like I said, maybe this is just a bunch of scrapped content from somewhere else all being shoved together to try and make a cohesive story. But yeah, this happened multiple times, you know? It would be the same mission, it wouldn't be like a brand new mission or anything, it wouldn't clearly be another day. But yeah, there would just be a massive time change with no explanation whatsoever. The game is sort of open world, and this is why I compare it to Mafia 2 in particular, is you've got this quite large map, you know, it's basically the city of Las Vegas and like some surrounding desert. But you're pretty much just going from mission to mission to mission to mission in this map. And you do unlock this free roam mode after the main story, but I was not interested in doing that whatsoever. And you've got this little mini map up in the top left of your screen, and you've got the standard, you know, GPS marker, which shows you the roads to go along to your waypoints to your quest objectives. But there's no world map or no like main map that you can open, which again makes me think that maybe like the open world thing wasn't like fully planned out. That's really struck me as weird. And there's no activities to do in the open world between missions. Like I said, you can't just grab any car you want. You're restricted to the car that's available for that mission. There's nothing, I was gonna say on the map, but there's no map, but there's no racing events out in the world or anything. The game does give you a handful of optional side quests, and these are presented to the player so haphazardly. I think somewhere within the first hour of the game, like you finish a mission, and as you're turning away, you see like this glowing portal in front of you, which just has like a static image, and basically if you walk into the portal, it takes you into the side mission. And then I think if you leave it, you can access it from the like the in-game menu whenever you want. But like, such a weird way of accessing a side mission, and I saw that 3 times in probably the first, 30-40% of the game, and then never again. So I don't know if they just gave up on doing side missions, side quests after the first part, but yeah, they like really stood out like a sore thumb, and then they just seemed to be dropped completely, which was quite funny. The loading screens, oh my god, the loading screens, just look at them. That's it. It's just a black background with some white text. It's just a random quote from a character in the game. There's probably like 7 or 8 quotes, and that's all you see in the loading screens. Like, no graphics or anything behind them, just a black screen, white text. Awful. Something else incredibly annoying is that there's no way to skip cutscenes. There are a lot of cutscenes in this game, and they do look good, for sure. Obviously, it's a story-driven game. You know, ideally, you don't want to be skipping them on your first view, but some of them are so long. The opening cutscene is 8 full minutes, 8 straight minutes without you being able to do anything, and after 8 minutes, you get control of your character. And I heard that, like, if you sit through the cutscene and then change your game settings and then, like, restart the game, you have to sit through the 8-minute cutscene again, and there's no way to skip it. The game's also not clear whatsoever when it's actually saved your progress. So multiple times when I was, having to stop playing the game and then pick it up again later, I would find that either I had to go back and redo some of a mission because it hadn't saved when I thought it would save, or more often than not, I would have to sit through a 3-minute cutscene that I'd already watched before, because I didn't know that it wouldn't save after watching the cutscene, it would have saved before watching the cutscene. So again, adding a skip cutscene button is such a no-brainer. And obviously you can't skip the credits, and they are super, super long. I think that's all I have to say about MindsEye. There's, you know, probably quite a lot there, but I really had a fair bit to get off my chest, I think. Honestly, I do regret spending 10 hours with this game. Should have taken the first couple of hours as a sign that it wasn't going to get better, and I wasn't even going to see any funny bugs the whole time. I think like the best bug I saw was that like the bullet holes in a glass panel didn't move with a glass panel, so characters would like walk through the floating bullet holes. That was literally like the funniest bug I saw in 10 hours, so there's really no redeeming qualities for this game whatsoever. It's overpriced, it's a boring game with an interesting story, but the interesting story is not saved, or is not enough to save the game from its awful gameplay. Maybe pick it up when it's like 20 bucks or something. Yeah, maybe grab it right before it gets delisted in like 7 months or something. But there you go, that was MindsEye. I do not recommend this whatsoever. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!